Okay, hello Laura, hello Lacey.
Hi, Joanna. Hi, Lacey. Hi.
Okay, so I'm Joanna Daninas, and I have on with me Laura Dodonna and Lacey Lyons. And our topic for today, we're going to be talking about addictions. Okay, so we all have some form of addiction, which I actually like to call vices. Okay, this was taken from the internet. There are seven common addictive behaviors. uh, s- Gambling, sex, gaming, internet, shopping, food, stealing. Okay. And I believe we turn to vices or addictions when we want to escape what I call the quote unquote unwanted reality. It's something we do to pacify us from the difficult state we're in or if the feeling of void we are experiencing. I believe when we start to heavily depend on our vices, they turn into addictions. And the only way we to eliminate the addiction or vice is to face that unwanted reality and find our way through it, no matter how difficult. So we want to find solutions to the problems or a better way to cope with the current situation. It's my belief that when we add the feeling of aloneness or abandonment to the vice or addiction, this is where we fall further down the rabbit hole. Okay, things kind of just spiral downward. A never ending pattern of self sabotage or self defeat sets in. The addiction overpowers our everyday actions and choices. It impacts our brain. We feel hopeless, dependent, like there's no way out. So we spiral downward into alcoholism or addiction to drugs, food, or sex, and with a major disregard for self, and we ignore the impact it has on the ones we love as well. What happens then, women get trafficked, men become abusive or violent, narcissistic, or sex addicts. This, along with shame or negative self image, keeps us stuck and can lead us to taking our own life. What are your thoughts on this, Laura Lacey?
Um, yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it's hard for us to wrap our head around the drugs or alcohol if we're not in that, but it does capture those people, and they really can't help it. It's a disease. But there are tools to fix the problem, and um, it's hard once you get into that because they mainly hardly ever get out of that situation unless they follow through with what they need to do and want to help themselves.
Exactly. It's hard to do. Like you said, when you get kind of stuck in that mode, it's hard to redirect. What are your thoughts, Laura?
My thoughts are in you have to look why they're doing that. So I go back to the place of why are they suppressing? Why are they acting out? There's an underlining current that's happening in somebody's life. Yes, we could look at the addiction, which we do. We see it outwardly, but what's happening inwardly? And
Mhm.
that's where it lies. It is going down the rabbit hole. And I always say it's going down the rabbit hole without a rope, like Alice in Wonderland. So we have to look and see what is exactly happening in someone's life. And a lot of times people don't want to look within their own life. It's easy to suppress. So they're going to reach out for these tools. They're not even tools. They're going to reach out for these vices that are going to suppress and push down the real problem. So
Right.
getting to the underlying problem is having to really do your work. And that's when comes in the tools and the resources from people that are have those tools and resources, or a counselor or addiction counseling or somebody to come in to help. But they have to identify, this is a problem. Why am I doing this? What is causing me to um stuff it. There's stuff, whether it be food or whether it be sex addiction or drug addiction, gambling, just like the list that you had read off. There's many addictions. There's TV. People are on TV constantly, the internet constantly go, go, go. We've all been stuck in that. Why are we constantly looking at our phone as soon as we get up? Why are we looking at the internet as soon as we get up? So, we have to, what is happening within ourselves? So I always say, what are we feeling within our bodies? What is driving us to that? So I feel
Yeah.
like that's, you have to identify first. And a lot of people don't want to identify it. They just want to keep masking the problem, masking, stuffing down. That's we've been taught that in our society.
Right. I hear you.
But there
Yep.
there is help. But they have to acknowledge that to get the help.
Well, there's always help, but again, they have to want the help, you know. We can't control what they do, and especially our loved ones, right? Our children, Lacey, right? It's so hard to watch them, you know, be in this predicament and not be able to really do anything, you know. And we can try to help, but you know, and I'll talk a little bit later about the difference between helping and what's helping and what's enabling, which enabling can actually be quite detrimental, and we don't mean to do it. It's just we're trying to help, right? But it ends up being a form of enabling, which actually makes the matter worse. So I mean, I can actually bring that up because Lacey is part of the PAL group, and there was a brochure that was phenomenal, and I'm just going to kind of read through it. But there was, you know, difference between enabling and helping an addict. Enabling is lying to others and yourself about the addict's behavior, putting the addict's needs before your own, bailing the addict out of messes they've created, giving the addict money, quote unquote, parenting the addict and feeling resentful about it. And then the last is doing things for the addict that they should be doing themselves. In other words, taking care of chores, bills, kids, etc. So that's enabling, okay? Versus helping is admitting to yourself that the addictions won't go away on its own. Putting your needs first, getting support like Al-Anon or seeing a therapist, letting the addict experience consequences for their behavior, right? No pain, no gain, I guess. Giving the addict love, not money. Setting healthy boundaries for yourself. And then lastly, giving the addict space to take control of their own lives. Because again, I believe that, you know, we're all on a journey, and this includes our kids. And, you know, karmatically, you know, they have their own traumas and whatnot to resolve. And really, it's not our cross to bear. They are our children, but they're a soul on this earth, and they come in with their own experiences, their own traumas, and I believe from past lives. And I'll talk about that more. But any thoughts on this? This was a great resource, Lacey. Thank you for sharing. It's from, again, from
Oh,
the PAL group,
yeah,
Parents of Addicted Loved Ones. Go ahead. Yeah.
the PAL group helped me immensely, especially with the enabling part because, um, just as a background, I'll share, my daughter passed away October of last year on Halloween from addiction, and being trafficked and, having the fentanyl laced in the meth that she took. But
Yeah.
the PALS group, it really helps because enabling is so hard as a parent because you so want to help your child and you want to help them. They say that parents actually get addicted to their addiction because they go along their side of them and they want to go to their next, like what's going to happen next. Let me prepare and make sure that doesn't happen. And so it's just like a flight or fight that you're just living with all the time. And it just enabling is so easy for a parent to do. And there's such a fine line. And they say in PALS, you really have to do the opposite. You know, you have to be there as their cheerleader and help them, like in mentally, just to say you're there and you love them, but they need to have repercussions for their mistakes and learn from them. But you know, it's hard because you think, oh my gosh, that's going to make them, if they get in more stress, they're going to want to use more. And it's such a hard line between deciphering when you should help and when you shouldn't. There was one example that I have to say that I saw a video at PALS, and they were talking about this guy that was by a river. He was cold, and he called his mom and he said, "Mom, can you please just give me a sleeping bag? I'm so cold. Can you bring me a sleeping bag?" And she said, "No, I'm not going to help you anymore with your addiction." And he said that being uncomfortable was what made him want to get out of it. And that same day before I saw that video, I Amazoned my daughter a air mattress because she needed one. And
Hmm.
it's like I could have not done that and she could have been uncomfortable or could have gone the other way. We don't know. But it's such a hard.
It's tough, like you said, because you want to help and you, as a good parent, right? You love them, you want to help them, but in essence, sometimes helping is it's counterintuitive. It's counterindicative, I think is the word.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not what you would think it should be, right? I
Mhm.
know it's a tough one, and you're not alone. I mean, this happens, like you said, all the time. You know what I mean? and um and it doesn't just have to be with being on the streets. I mean, it's someone that makes a bad choice or turns to drugs or ends up in jail, violates the law, and there's parents there still visiting their child in jail and trying to support them, and reality of it is that that's also enabling, right? So is that really going to make that child realize, oh, I shouldn't have done that and I won't do that? It's one of those things. It's a hard line between what's right, what's wrong for them to do, but it's hard as a parent to be that bystander, try and decipher what's the right thing to do for my kid, right? Tough. So, but this was taken from the internet. So there's multiple factors resulting in addiction. They include genetic vulnerability, environmental stressors, social pressures, individual personality characteristics, psychiatric problems, peer pressure,
Big
physical
one.
and sexual abuse, early exposure to drugs, stress, and parental guidance. I really do believe that parental guidance is what we just talked about, that enabling versus that's what I believe. That's what I'm interpreting. So,
Yeah.
because I don't think, I mean, there's always those one-off cases, right, where parents think they're doing everything right, and then their kid, like you said, maybe it's peer pressure, social pressures, they start too early, they don't even know what they're getting into, and then they just get addicted. Of course there's those incidences, but like I said, those are the factors uh that I got from the internet. So, and I like to keep
Yeah.
things
Or
simple. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say it could be the friends that they hang around.
Right.
Like Laura said, you lay with fleas, you get fleas.
You
It's
lay with
like you
dogs
have
that have
to.
fleas, you get fleas. Yeah.
I was close. But yeah, it does make sense, that analogy for sure.
Right.
It really
It's
does come from again, I go back to the same thing that I had said. It is what is beneath the problem.
mhm,
What is going on within yourself? Is it a turbulent home? Are the parents checked out? Is there a lack of care or love or guidance? Is there, and it's maybe not even have to do anything with the parents, or what is driving people to create these addictions? And we have all been
right.
there,
Right. It could
whether
be.
it be food or
Right.
alcohol,
Right.
loving to every day a drink. What is driving you? What just happened to you before you took that drug? What just happened to you
hmm
before you started eating the big gallon of ice cream? It is feeling our emotions, and we are taught not to feel. We are taught to suppress. So working and moving through our addictions is to feel. And I feel that there's many addictions, but we have to realize that we need to stop stuffing things down and begin to work through those feelings of what is happening to us. Because that's what this is really about. At least from my point of view, it is what is causing you to drive you to take all those drinks. What is causing you to do whatever. Everything has to be in moderation and balance in life. And when you are off balance, when you are out of balance, life becomes very turbulent. And if you're coming from a dysregulated home, that's another thing. Or maybe the child's being abused or sexually abused, or the adult. We don't, it could be anything verbally
Yeah.
in a marriage, it could be verbally abused. What is the driving factor here? It's not
Right. Or
just,
like
oh,
you said, it could be anxiety. A lot of, internet,
anxiety.
it could be, you can get social anxiety, and now you're
Yeah,
trying to
terrible.
regulate your life. Like you said, you're trying to get into balance. And so you start on something that you think is, not a big deal. And then it just, you get hooked and there you go. I mean,
It could
there's
even
so many.
It
Go
could be
ahead.
even drugs that have been subscribed to us from the
Could
doctor,
be.
and then all of a sudden
Sure.
you're
Like
hooked. And that's
oxycodone
happened
or,
so much.
yeah, like with
That's
they,
happened so
go in
much with
for
people.
yeah, have a back issue or whatever, and they start on that, and then before you know it, they're addicted to it, and they can't get off of it. So you're right, absolutely. There's so many things that play into this, and
There's a
it's a
lot.
matter of being aware, like you said, recognizing it, and then, like I said, facing that hardcore, that unwanted reality that I call it, that thing that's so hard, but that's the only way through it. You have to dress it, you have to face it. And, there's really no other way around it. I mean, we have different, there's infinite possibilities to address whatever difficulties we're going through, but it's a matter of, owning up to it and saying, okay, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to face this, however difficult it may be, you know, however
Or
painful it
even
may be. Hmm.
even sex addictions. I mean, I knew somebody that had a sex addiction, one right after another, woman after woman, just continuing on. I mean, why?
Right,
What if you get the dopamine, you have the
right.
high having the sex, it's a hit of dopamine. Oh, it's great, everything's wonderful. Then you add some alcohol and some drugs into it. That's a
Yeah.
lot too.
And oftentimes, they're in a committed relationship, right? And now they're hurting their spouses, right?
Awful.
It's not fair, right? They're being
Sad.
unfaithful. And clearly, I believe it's traumas. That's what I was going to say is I like to keep things simple and call all of these factors that we're talking about either current or past traumas. You know what I mean? From a soul's perspective, since I believe in past lives and reincarnation, I believe our soul brings in traumas from a past life sometimes. So, you bring a child
Absolutely.
into this world and, now you're dealing with a certain set of circumstances that you may not even have had any impact on. You know what I mean? And we can address these traumas and learn to break the cycle, or, we can give up, by taking our own lives or causing us to repeat the cycle into our next life, right? So if you
I
don't do
wouldn't
it
want to do
now,
that.
you don't do the work now, you're going to have to face it karmatically later, so why not address it now? Stop kicking the ball down the road, right? And just face it, do the work, right? Um, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, that for me, I mean, this is not that this is an easy topic or not an easy resolution, but um, the solution's the same, right? Face the hardcore reality, face the unwanted reality, and don't turn to things to pacify ourselves. Just deal with it head on,
One,
address it now versus
I'm
later.
sorry.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up with enabling is when it comes to drug or alcohol addiction, um, they say that it actually, your mental capacity is at the level of when you started drug. So
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I agree with that.
so
Yeah.
you're
So you,
dealing with that as well. So like with Destiny, she started when she was 15. So I always looked at her as like a 15-year-old maturely. So it's hard to not enable when you know that they need the help.
right, because like you said, that something actually happens to the brain, right? It's like an actual
Mhm.
physical reaction. It almost like stunts their growth, right? It almost just kind of, yeah. And that's why it's so important, in my opinion. I know with my kids, and this is just the way I handle it. I'm not saying this is a solution, but I was honest with my kids from early on. I mean, as little kids, I would say, do not accept any candy from anyone. Never take any candy from any, you know what I mean? Because you didn't know it could be, candy laced with something. A stranger at the park giving it to them, and why wouldn't a kid take candy, right? So, I just started, and then as they got older, I got more and more, elaborate with my description, and um, I even think that sometimes we have to look at our children and know their personality. If we see that they're having like an addictive personality, you know, we need to be more vigilant, I think, and I actually had a talk with one of my kids and I said, I really think you need to be careful because I even said, don't even try something because if you try it, with your personality, with that, addictive, it just can get out of control. And before you know it, you end up in jail and, your life is ruined and you can't stop, So again, having those conversations, being proactive as opposed to reactive, teaching our kids that it's important to love themselves and to care for themselves and to treat their mind and body well, right? Be careful of what they're taking and what they're doing to their bodies. Again, it goes back to, health and safety first, right? Mental, physical health. That's the key component of everything, right? If we don't have our health and our safety, what really do we have, right? Not much. So, it's what we need to do for ourselves and we need to instill that in our children too. So, anyways, but Laura, did you want to talk about, because I know you took a class, you're taking, right? You took a class on addiction. Do you want to talk
Mm.
about that a little bit?
Well, like I was saying, it's like, why is the person, doing it, getting to the core, um, the bottom of it. Like
Yeah.
it's reasons why people are doing the things they do. And, we're just looking at the outer part of what's happening, but we're not looking what's driving them. And even myself, being a young girl and why I started doing the things I did as a young girl. I always put myself back to that place as a young teenager, a young girl. What was driving me? My home was turbulent. It was an escape. Um, you know, Started as a young girl, just, smoking
Yeah.
pot or, taking a Quaalude or whatever the case may be. But it made you feel, it let go of, you could suppress your problems.
Your
Right.
So,
reality.
it's not been in reality for however long it was, and or taking a drink. So, it was an escape. But then
Escaping
what
your
happens
reality.
when you
Yeah,
begin to get addicted, it's just,
I
it's
know.
sad. And you could spend a lifetime in that if you don't switch gears or realize, where's my life going, as a young person. And they start off, or it goes into adulthood. If it's not just, taking drugs, it goes into alcohol, it goes into other addictions. But it really is the underlying of being, having something more within. Why am I doing this? What happened to me? And it is traumas. So, and
Mhm.
then the brain is misfiring when you have all this unclarity. You have no clarity no longer.
Right.
You're having alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, even the internet. It's just, you cannot have a clear mind if you're constantly putting this in within your body or in your mind and your soul. It just comes down to the same thing. So, people have to really take a good look and really do the work and really begin to switch out of that and say, do I want to live my life like this? Is this um, conducive to my life? Is this what I want to have my life to be moving forward? But it comes to a point, there's a crossroad. Either you say, I want to have a better life, and I move off and go down that different road, or you continue on down the same road. And a lot of people, they leave this earth, you know, doing the same thing. It really is, you have to really be a brave human to take the chance to change, to really say, I want to change. I want to do my work, or you will come back around. And whether you believe in another lifetime or not, I do believe we're on a karmic wheel, and either you learn the things you have to learn in this lifetime, or you go back around and learn them again. Different faces, different people, but the same
Right.
situation. So
Right. Break the cycle or else you have to
break
repeat
the
it.
cycle, be healthy. Don't you want
Hmm.
well-being? And people don't
Hmm.
have clarity of mind. I know Lacey for a long time. I knew Destiny as a little girl. And I would tell Lacey she's misfiring in her brain. She was misfiring. I mean, and then after a while, when you're doing all these different things, where's the clarity in your mind? You don't have clarity. What, whatever addiction, you do not have clarity in the mind. You lose yourself.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate, and there are a lot of parents that do enable, and I understand that. I have daughters, and there's been times I've enabled them in certain situations, and I have to go, okay, I need to take my hands off the wheel, and I've had to do
Mhm.
that. I've had to take my hands off the wheel and let the car crash. Jesus, take the wheel, whatever the
Right.
case may be, because it's hard. We love our children, and sometimes we don't realize that we're enabling them, learning so much through that, class, and learning through Lacey and the things that's happened to Destiny. It was my eyes were wide open learning. It was not easy, and it wasn't easy on Lacey either. It was
No.
so hard. It was
Mm.
painful. It
Yeah.
was painful, but she did the best she could
She
in
certainly did.
what she had, in the knowing that the tools and resources she had. That's what she did the best she could, and
She
she's
did the
gotten
best
better
she
and
could.
better and better. and
Yeah.
everybody has free will. We
Hmm.
can't go in and change people's
Nope.
lives. They have to
Not even
want
our
to,
children. We can't
from the
change them.
core of who they are, they have to
Yeah.
want that desire. Let me change my
Yeah.
life. And Lacey made a beautiful point. Like she said, that young man that needed um, that, not the backpack, he needed that, what
Sleeping
was it,
bag.
Sleeping
blanket?
bag.
A sleeping bag. His parent made that choice so he would be uncomfortable. And then that was the turnaround. I wouldn't have ever thought about that until Lacey
Yeah.
shared that
I
with
think
me.
I would have said, you know what? I can't give you a sleeping bag, but you can come home and
You can
sleep in
come
your
home
bed.
and
Mhm.
but a lot of times when
You're
they
not.
come home,
Yeah.
they're dysregulated, and you're faced with a person that's not controllable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a two-edged sword when it comes
Yeah,
to
that's true.
that addiction,
See,
to
there
many
you go. You don't
addictions.
really know what the right answer is when you want to help, right?
They
It's a
have to
tough,
want to have the
and
help. They have
and
to
that's the
want it
thing.
within themselves.
Parents, should never feel like they were at fault. You know what I mean? This is not their cross to bear. You know,
Yeah.
I hope you truly feel that, Lacey. And
Yeah.
this is, like I said, this is not a place for judgment. You know, we're all human, we're all imperfect, we all make mistakes. We have to give ourselves grace for the things we may have said or done in the past. You can't move forward if you're stuck in the past. So you have to just acknowledge, okay, live in the now, forget what happened, learn from it, and move on, right? There's no room for judgment. No one's better than any other. We're all
No,
human, we're all fallible, right? And it's important to give ourselves grace. So, at this point, we have to, whatever trauma we're faced with, whatever it is, addiction, one of them, losing your child, another major one, we still have to find the joy in life. We have to move on, right? We have to somehow pick ourselves up, right? As broken as we may be, and just learn to live a life, and not just live a life, find the joy in life again, right? Lacey, I hope you can do that. I know it's tough.
oh
I know
gosh, she's
grief is a
brave, that
real
girl.
thing. What,
Yeah, I
what?
think what really has helped is the support that I have, like through pals and my friends and my walking group and
Yes.
my family. I mean, it's just I don't know how people do it without that, because I needed that for sure. And same with people that are in addiction, like they need the support.
It is support.
Otherwise they're gonna feel more alone.
Right.
And the thing
Exactly.
is to show up with no judgment. If anything I've learned from that addiction class is, when you walk a mile in someone's shoes, you really understand. But if you're going to stand on the outside and judge, and we do this as humans, we like to do this, um, you have to really hold the space or hold the container for that human and not judge. Well, why isn't it this way? Why isn't that way? Well, it isn't that way. And it isn't this way, and you would have done this and done that, coulda, woulda, shoulda, and didn't. So,
Hmm.
when we start looking at somebody else and what they should have, yes, they could have done many things, but for some reason they did it that way. But to hold the space for somebody and stand in that gap for that human and put yourself in their shoes. But
Hmm.
I
The
always
golden
say
rule.
this, the
You
golden
say it.
rule is treat people how you want to be treated. But this world is so conditioned, and everybody's pointing the finger at somebody, but instead of as they're pointing, that thumb is pointing back at you. So
Right.
you can point, and we've all done this. I mean,
Hmm.
I've had to learn through these classes I've been taking. I've had to learn to really look at myself. Why am I judging? Why am I quick to judge this person or that person, or even my own children? Like, I need to take a step back, zip it, zip it, and just stand there. And it's good to be silent. There's been times where, I tell Lacey, all the words that I could say to you, but it doesn't change the circumstances. Sometimes I think I've just sat there and hugged her and and,
Hmm.
and held
Or
her and
being with
just
her.
didn't know what to say, or maybe said things, but then was quiet. It's okay to be quiet. It's a good thing to be quiet and not say anything when people are going through their trauma, because there's no words. And
Right.
I think about somebody that Lacey and I used to work with. She was a nurse, and she's still a nurse, but she no longer works there. She works somewhere else now. But her daughter, for years, I watched her come in the department I worked in and carrying the weight of the world on her, because her daughter was addicted for years. And she had a spouse, and her spouse and her, this was an adult daughter. I think her daughter was in her late 20s or 20s. I'd say mid-20s, because by the time it stopped, I think she was like in her young 30s. She had children, and now the grandparents were all the four grandparents were stuck with the kids. They not stuck, but they had to take over. But I would say, what's happening? And I don't want to mention her name, but I asked her, "Are you okay?" at the coffee, right at when she was getting a coffee, and she started to tell me things. And for years, I watched that woman carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. And her husband would let her daughter in, where she would draw the boundaries. No, but her daughter was addicted, but he kept letting her in, and it would cause such stress and strife within their
Mhm.
home and within their together. This couple, that was her dad, but it caused such discord. By the grace of God, I think years later that girl turned her life, but and she came to full circle of being well. I think she
Mhm.
just graduated. She's has her children. She had another baby. She got married. Her life is beautiful now. But that was a lot to watch. And
Right.
it wasn't easy. And for people like, what's wrong with her? What's going on with her? Why is she so this? Why is she so that? This woman is dealing with a lot. Until you walk a mile in somebody's
Yeah.
shoes, you need to stop judging and really, if you really care, come alongside that person and ask, how can I assist you? Are you okay? You don't
Hmm.
want to pry, but just come alongside people and figure it out. But a lot of
Hmm.
times we're just so busy. I'm guilty as of that too. But you have to come alongside and realize what is exactly going on. And when you realize, then you'll have to be more empathetic and go, let me be a hand extended. Let me hold space
Hmm.
for that person. We're so
Well,
quick
I
to judge about these
right.
things. It's
No,
so
judge I
much.
exactly. I always said, and I said it in my introductory video, judge actions, not people. And
That's
some people
right.
say that's the same thing. No, it's not, because people can make different choices, right? You may make a bad choice, you may falter, but you can get back on the bandwagon and you can make better choices going
Absolutely.
forward. So I think you look at you have discernment, you look at the actions of what people do, you say, well, they can make better choices. But as far as judging, there really is no place for that. Like you said, we're all human. We're all battling something, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
no one's perfect, So I think we just need to harness that, know that, and like I said, live by the golden rule. And biggest thing for me is help those when they ask for it. It doesn't help or serve us to try to help someone that doesn't want it. It's not going to, they're not ready to receive, right? You can only help when they're willing to receive it. When they make that choice and say, I would like help. So if anyone ever asks me for help, I'm right there, right? I'm right there helping, as much as I can. If I can, I show them where to go or direct them somewhere else. Um, gone are the days where I try to help someone that's not ready to be helped, because it doesn't go anywhere, right? And if anything, it's upsetting to them. They feel they already know what struggles they're facing. They don't want to be reminded, right? So I just choose not to, get involved unless someone asks for help. And that's really what I've been doing lately. Because sometimes when you love, you want to try it again, like the parent, you want to help, you're trying to, but you end up enabling, or you end up making matters worse. Best to just only help when you're asked. So that's how I feel.
Um, Definitely. Laura brought up a good point about the husband in that situation that she was talking about. Um,
It's tough.
so there's so many different people's, what do I say? Like the families, everyone has their own place that they're at that time. And so one person might feel like they should be enabling and the other ones shouldn't be. And so it's hard because they get that contraindicating, um, they get that vision that they should do this and not that. And it's hard for the family
Sure.
with the neighbor. Yeah.
Like there's no
So
consistency, right? Is that what you mean? Like the
yeah, that's
consistency
what I
is
mean.
not there.
Like we
It's
have
a
to
lot.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's true too. There's a lot of variables that play into it. And there's not one easy answer or one easy resolution. So yeah, you're right.
And
It's
a
it's
lot of these addictions come with shame. We talk about that. I think we talked about that last week. And shame comes a lot,
right.
shame and embarrassment and all these different things. I mean, it's a lot on somebody
Right.
like that. My child's going through this, or my sister, or my husband, or shame is attached to all of this. And where people do
Yeah.
not want to, you know, talk about it, or maybe they feel embarrassed, or it's, we have to think about that. Like, put ourselves in these people's shoes. When
Mhm.
somebody's going through this, we're sitting over there, oh my goodness, and talking about it, and, you know, lighting the flame some more for these poor people. I mean, it's like there shouldn't be shame in that. I mean, and I know they feel that. I mean, I've been there for Lacey, at times she felt all these different emotions. I learned a lot, you
Definitely.
know, being with Lacey, and, it's a
Well, that's why
lot.
I mean we have to give ourselves grace. I mean, we really
Grace.
do. We have to give ourselves grace and we have to let things go. Like I said, the past is the past and we have to let it go, because we
Well,
can't
we have to
change the
heal
past.
through it. We have to heal through it,
Right.
letting it go.
And right, and that healing
Because that will
moment,
always come back up again if you don't
right.
heal through it.
And the healing time frame is different for everybody, right? But the only way through it, I should say, right, is unfortunately is to let it go or move on or get over. I mean, there's no other
I
way.
feel like we have to feel our emotions.
Well,
We
of
have
course
to
we do.
feel. If we do
Yes.
not feel, we're just pressing it down or let it go and it comes back. We're always have to feel what we feel, acknowledge what we feel, because if you do not feel those emotions and how you feel within your body, if you do not identify where is this coming from, where do I feel it in my body? Do I feel it in my heart center?
Mhm.
Do I feel it in my stomach? Do I feel it in my mind? If we do not feel and we're just going to suppress, or, yes, you could let it go, but you have to feel it to let it go. You have to work through
Well,
that
you
to
have
let it
to
go.
feel it, you have to heal it, and you have to release it. That's what you have to do.
That's the
Those
only
are the
way you
three.
do it.
It's not like knowing, I mean, I might have been guilty of this is like, even in my introductory video, I just say, let's get straight through it, right to it. You have to let it go or get over it. And I understand that could be upsetting to someone who's going through a difficult time. But I've talked to people, I've shared this with you, Laura. I've talked to friends of people that have been through so many traumas. I mean, so many. And I said, what is it that you did? How did you get through it? How did you handle it? Did you write a letter to this person? Did you, what did you do? And she came back with, you got to get over it. You got to let it
That's
go.
fine to get over it, but
And
you have
I'm
to
and
work
I'm not
through it
trying
in
to be
order to get
incensed.
over it.
I'm not
You
trying to
can't
be
just,
insensitive. And like I said, I'm not trying to be insensitive because again, we feel these emotions. But at what point do you let it go so that you can reclaim your life? Right? Someone gets a
when you work
divorce.
through it and you feel it and
Right.
acknowledge it, and then you could
Okay.
let it go.
Okay. So someone gets a divorce and they're upset with their husband, but they got the divorce so they never have to deal with them again. Now it's 20 years later and they have not moved on. What do you
That's
say
not
to that?
working through it and feeling it. That's just
That's what I'm
burying
saying.
it
You have
down.
to feel it, you have to heal it, and you have to release it. And it's in your time frame, but 20 years, I mean, that's a huge part of your
Yeah.
life and still
That's a
counting.
person who don't want to let it go. That's a person who don't want to work it. It's
That's what I'm
doing the
saying.
work.
20 years and still counting. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to take days, but how long do we carry this burden? How long do
But,
we live with this
you know,
turmoil right?
coming from a divorce, and not a good divorce, a very unfortunate, sad divorce after 22 years, I can speak to this, and I can speak quite clearly and strong through it. I had to do my work. I had to go through every emotion that I felt, every wound, every pain that was caused in my marriage by both of us and by my husband and by me, perhaps. I had to dig deep. So I couldn't just let it go. People can't just let go. Yes, I got to the point where I was able to let it go, but I had to work through
Right.
it and feel my feelings and emotions and do counseling and do self-help and read books
Yes.
and listen to podcasts and do these different things that help me and talk to friends and talk to the counselor and really work through some deep things. And I didn't have my little peel shovel, the little peel from the beach and the little sand shovel. No, I had the big shovel, the one that you shovel snow with, because I had to
Hmm.
get through all my crap. And when I got through all my crap, then I was able to let it go. And
Right.
every once in a while, it could be a little trigger. And then you have to revisit it and see, okay, what part is this coming up now that I need to work on just a little bit more? Like I said to you today, when my daughters are having problems, one's got a car problem, the other one has to go over and assist her do something to watch her daughter. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if they had a father to step in and assist? Instead, that falls back onto me. I had to
Right.
revisit it and go and say, but it's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay, Laura. They don't have a father. He's gone. It's okay. And then I just let it go,
Right.
right? But it was
Like I said, you
doing
have
work
to
that
feel
helped
it.
me let it go
Right. You have to feel it, you have to heal
and
it,
do
and then you
work.
release it. Let it go.
And I didn't
But
do it
like I
with the
said,
little shovel.
yeah. But like I
It
said, you
needs,
can't, if
it
you
needs,
don't release it, you're still stuck, right? I mean, that's a fact, right? If you're still trying to
but
work
it's
through it,
easy for words, Joanna, to say just let it go. But
no,
there's
no,
more
I know.
parts to it. There's
I,
more parts to
of
this.
course, there's a lot of feeling in it, right? But what I'm saying is the
A lot
only
of
end
work,
result,
good feeling.
the end result's the same, right? In order to
If you do
move
your work
on,
and you work through it,
after you work through it, after you heal, you have to let it go and then move on, right?
Yeah,
because all
so like
people are
Heal,
hearing because all people are
I
hearing
think
you
that
say, just let it go. Well, how do you let it go? I had somebody ask me the other night, well, how do you do that? They literally asked me, how do you do that? And I had to explain step by step
right.
by step.
Lacey, what were
I
you
think
going
you
to
And
have
say,
to,
hon?
oh, you have
Mhm.
to be in the right time period though. Like with these people that from my pals group that are actually going through the addiction right now. They're so overwhelmed as parents because they don't know when the next ball is gonna drop. They're going through it. So
Right.
it's hard to know like when to let like you can let go, not enable as much and have boundaries. Um, but you can't like really get through it till, sadly someone dies or or they
Yeah.
get out of their addiction.
Well, I think in that case, when you're still going through it, the idea is to set boundaries, right? We talked about that in one of the prior podcasts. And the only way, if something is undesirable, whether a family member or whomever, someone close to us, a loved one hurts us, the only way to really protect ourselves and to stay in the right frame of mind is to set boundaries. And that it's applicable even in this type of situation that is, like you said, so exhaustive and so hurtful, right?
Mhm.
But the only way to
Yeah,
do that is set a boundary. So yeah, you're right. You can't
yeah,
let it go because it's finite situation. It's an ongoing one,
painful.
but that's where we set boundaries.
yeah.
Yeah. I know these are tough topics. And oh, we lost you, Lacey. Okay, there you are.
Uh,
These are tough topics and they're not easy. And it's not
Mm-mm.
never in a world would I ever say I'm trying to minimize someone's feelings because I believe we have to feel. Like I said, I have trouble
So important.
understanding the term stoic or stoicism because stoics, from what I understand, they're just very much it seems to be kind of superficial, and I don't think we can operate in a superficial world. I think
Mm,
we have to dig deep. I think we like you said, Laura, we have to feel that emotion. I'm not
have
denying
to.
that. We have to feel that emotion. We have to feel it and we have to address it. We have to heal it and then we can release it. Right.
Yep.
So
And that's the best thing in life. Then release and you're free.
release
And then
and
you
move
maybe have
on.
to revisit.
Well, it might
You-
come into play and then we just have to, like you said, moderate it, like you said, what your situation was. It was a reminder of, well, this would have been nice, but then, right?
I let it go.
you,
I
you gotta
let it
acknowledge
go.
it.
And
Hmm.
I let
Let it
goddamn
go.
thing go again.
I
But you
know.
know what? You really, and I probably say the same thing every time we do a podcast, but we have been conditioned in so many ways. And we come back to so many things that we are reminded about how we're supposed to feel, as children, don't cry. The boys, don't cry to little boys, don't
Yeah.
cry. That's not a man. Little girls, keep quiet. Be
Or don't
quiet.
cry. I remember hearing that and it wasn't
Don't
pleasant,
judge.
right? Yeah, we were told,
Horrible.
this is how you were conditioned. This is how you have to be. You couldn't feel your emotion. Shouldn't be
It's
that way.
awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even I was in class the other day. You don't hand a box of Kleenex to somebody when they're crying. We were taught that that's a nice thing to do, but you are stopping the process of that person. And I've done that. I probably
Right.
did it to Lacey. Here's a Kleenex, oh Lacey. But we're not supposed to do that because it is really stopping the process. You're telling that person you want them without words, you want them to stop crying because you're uncomfortable.
Mm,
That's what we're saying. It's really we need to let them cry. And when they're ready, they get their Kleenex. You could put a box there, or maybe yeah, they're out through the room. And you don't have to go in and hug, and I'm a hugger.
mm,
You have to sit back and wait a while before you do all
mm,
that. I remember one young lady was crying in class, and I waited and I waited and I waited. And I had been in many classes with her. Well, I was in a few classes with her, and we all had a bond, and we went on to another class. And she was crying. I said, I'm not handing her a Kleenex, but I waited a while before I hugged her from behind. I held her and I said, I hope that was okay. I waited though. I waited. And she said,
mhm.
I needed that. But I tried to listen to my intuition because you don't want to stop the process. That person's letting go. She's letting
Mm,
go.
right.
It's
She's
interesting. I've
healing.
learned so many
She's trying
different
to heal
things.
so she can let go. Right. And you're right. And that's
And I
it's a
never knew
very
that.
uncomfortable when you're healing, people think it's a very uncomfortable feeling. I don't know if it's, they say
Yeah,
that,
it
when you're
is.
elevating to the next level, you are feeling a lot of uncomfortableness. You're feeling alone. You're feeling
Yeah,
like you're on an island and there's nobody there around for you, and it's a horrible feeling. It really
sure.
is. So, I mean,
It's a
like I
good
said, I think
feeling in
we
the end of all that.
it's a great feeling in the end, I'm sure. I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet, but we're getting there. But yeah, like I said, it's a process of healing. And I've done a lot of work in the last 2 years. I will admit, like I said, setting boundaries was a big one for me, and I think that we all have to self-reflect on what's going on in our lives. And like I said, what is our next step? And truly the only way to heal, I mean, the only way to get over it is to heal. Like I said, so that process, that uncomfortableness, we have to engage, we have to be vulnerable, right? We have to accept that uncomfortable feeling. And look at the situation and still have a way to have trust in others, right? We could be hurt and try to clam up into our shell, right? Maybe draw a boundary that says, I'm not letting anyone in anymore. Well, the problem with that is then you'll never really grow. You'll never evolve. You'll never let anyone else into your life. That's another thing, right?
Bad.
Healing is being able to accept again, right? If you had a bad divorce, right? You may not want to enter into a relationship because you're still so hurt, right? You might
Right.
fear getting into another relationship, understandably, right? That's why you have to heal, right? And
I'm
release.
laughing. I'm
What?
laughing because I always tell Lacey, it's like I always get back up on the horse again to have a date. Let's see if it happens. We laugh about all
But
those
and
stories.
that's good that you do that. A lot of people don't, though. A lot of people fear it,
A
right? They
lot of
go, "Oh,
frogs.
I don't want to go down
I
that
know.
road again," right? And so they clam up and they're like, "No, I don't want
There's
to, I don't want
always
to date."
there's always possibilities. There's open
Right.
doors and opportunities and divine appointments,
Exactly. So
right?
just, yeah, we have to give people a chance. You have to trust
Well, you
again.
have to open your heart.
Right.
Your heart can't be closed down. If you're going to put the armor and you're going to just be all armored up and you're not going to allow
Right.
something good to come in anything in our lives, then it's not going to come. But if you're going to be have an open heart and open mind, blessings will come in many different ways, and it maybe not always be in the way you want it to be or expected, but they always come.
Right.
They always come.
In divine timing, right? That's how
And
it
divine
comes.
timing, open doors,
Yeah,
opportunity, divine appointments, right?
that's right.
Infinite. What
That's
do you always say? Infinite
infinite
possibilities.
possibilities, right? You're faced with a
That's a beautiful
challenge,
thing.
you're faced with an obstacle, there's always infinite possibilities. There's always ways around it. You just got to be creative, which I think we are, right? We
Oh, we
as
are. We
humans are
hope so.
creative. So we need to just find that happy medium, that right answer or solution that's going to work for us. So, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and share our cards and also talk about reach a little bit. So let me do that. Whoops, hold on one second. Forgot to move something. Okay. Okay, so this is our Reach support platform, and you can join Reach by just typing Reach in the search bar in Facebook, or you can just go to this link, this URL for Reach. And then I post these podcasts as well as Reach interviews that I've done on YouTube. Just in search bar, just type at Reach dash IP3NY. And if you like what you see, just click like and subscribe. And then any other videos that I upload, you'll be notified of those new videos. So, and then Lacey, I didn't know if you wanted to, you're on mute, but did you want to talk more about the PAL group and anyone that might be interested locally in our community that would like to
Yeah.
attend?
So it's every Monday at 6:30 p.m. and it's at Christ Church in Fountain Hills. Anyone's welcome to come, and any family member that's dealing with an addicted loved one. But like I said, it really is helpful to know that you're not alone in this process.
Exactly. That's perfect. Great. And then we have our cards. Laura and I, we're life coaches, and Laura has certain, wonderful modalities. One of them, like I said, is addiction recovery, which is perfect for this topic. Laura, did you want to share anything with your card? Did you want to talk about
If
anything?
anybody just needs any assistance, just you can contact me through my information and I would love to assist.
Right. And same for me. I'm a health and wellness coach, career coach, relationship coach, executive coach. My involvement is more, in the 3D as far as, you know, if you want to have your own business, or you know, I can help with risk management, root cause analysis, business analysis, data analysis. I have a work comp claims background, also good with process improvement and compliance specialist. So, please, there's our phone numbers are there. If you need assistance, please reach out to us, our email addresses. And just, thank you for listening to these podcasts, and hopefully you're finding them helpful. And like I said, we try to do these every week, different topic. I want to thank Lacey for joining us today.
Thank you.
Really, everyone's welcome. We tried to do that. We're gonna probably open it up again to the public, somewhere down the line. But right now, it's mainly been Laura and I doing these podcasts, right? But truly, if anyone has the courage and wants to join us, let us know. You have our phone number. Let us know, and we'll open it up to you as well. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna go. Is there anything else anyone would like to add before I end or stop the recording?
No, thank you
Bye,
though. Appreciate
girls.
it.
Bye, Lacey.
Yeah,
Bye,
thanks
Bye.
for
Joanna.
joining us, Lacey. All right,
Yes.
take care, Laura. Thank you.
Bye, girls.
Always a
Bye.
pleasure. Okay.